I am Daniela Valdez-Jasso. I'm a associate professor of bioengineering at the University of California, San Diego. I am Mexican. I was born in Mexico City and to a family of diplomats. And so we traveled across the world. We moved every 3, 4 years with really not knowing where was next. So my childhood was spent partly in Brazil, in China, in Chile, and towards the end in the U.S. One of the things that I guess drove me or always kept me in STEM was the fact that while languages and cultures change, the one constant was always math. I think one of the main things that I learned from moving around was the fact that you always had to be resourceful, make the most out of what you had at any given time in any given location. And that at the end of the day, even though you were in different cultures and different countries, we are all we all have some very basic needs, and everybody, you can basically work with anybody. I always liked mathematics. It's not like I was a great at it, but I really enjoyed it, and it was my comfort zone. However, when I was in Brazil, when I was in high school, I unfortunately had a not very supportive and but discouraging math professor who said that I should better use my energy and focus towards social sciences. I spoke 4 languages that I should pursue instead and work with my family or my dad's work network. Fortunately, when I started college after a 1 semester in Brazil, studying international relations, my dad was moved to the U.S. We moved to North Carolina. I was still considered underage. I was 17, and so I did not have voice and had to come along. Fortunately, from the moment my parents would get the notification of a move till the moment that we had to be in a new place, it was only a lapse of 2 months. So with that really being very fast, no planning, I arrived into the U.S. We didn't have prepared to go to any university. I didn't have taken the SAT or anything. And so I actually started in that same fall, attending a community college in North Carolina. And I took all my exams. I did fit into calculus class, but I was then thinking more of a international business major. So I started taking them. My first semester, I took some accounting and some business math, which I thought made no sense at all. And accounting was one of my most terrifying classes. But again, maybe me being so social and always making friends around, a lot of my colleagues turned out to be students that were planning on transferring to for college as well, but they were focusing mainly in engineering or physics or math. And so I felt that since this math for business majors didn't make sense at all to me, it was really hard, I decided to go to what I knew. And so I then started taking as part of my math electives the calculus sequence with them. So I ended up staying at the Wade Tech Community College for 2 years before transferring. I had initially thought then that math I was doing very well, and I took all the sequence, and I enjoyed it. And I've always liked philosophy, so I thought I could do something with maybe math and philosophy. I did go to as an advisor to North Carolina State University. And he said that if I wanted to do that, I should probably then go to Berkeley. And as he said, but if you want to stay here, there's other choices where you can apply your math background. And that's where I found out about math being applied to biology. And again, one of my very good friends was a microbiologist major, and so that made sense to me to then take some classes, upper classes, with her so we could hang out. I finished my undergraduate degree 2 years after transferring, and by this point I was already doing research with a professor in applied mathematics, and I was studying the blood flow and the systemic arteries. And I really liked it and was given some research awards and funding to carry it further. I then decided to stay for my Ph.D. at NC State and got a master's in applied mathematics. Later focused more in biomathematics, but within the program. I at this point, I'm very comfortable with math, and I love modeling, and I love the cardiovascular system, but I find myself not being a good modeler if I don't understand the process of how data is acquired, really understanding the intricacies of designing experiments. And for my postdoctoral training, I then decided to go to a bioengineering lab in the Department of Cardiology at the University of Pittsburgh. And there, me expecting to go to do some experiments, not many, but some, I found myself actually then, by the end of 3 years, doing surgery on rats, and microbiology and tissue testing. And so this basically made me feel myself more of a modeler, but at this point feeling more comfortable and fitting in a bioengineering department than in applied mathematics department. So as a start as a professor, I made sure that I combine both aspects of my training. So still a mathematical modeler, still do a lot of computational work with data and data processing. But now I also wanted to now be able to produce my own data in my own lab with my own group. And so we study pulmonary arterial hypertension, which is a disease of the arteries of the lungs. It's high blood pressure. It's, as opposed to the systemic hypertension, it is not related to lifestyle or diet. We really don't know why it occurs, but it's also a disease that affects 2 to 4 times more women than men, and it's a very aggressive disease. So for me, it's really gives me an opportunity to combine a lot of the things. There are a lot of my drivers. So one, to be mentoring. I like to work with students. I am able to, by being a professor, I'm able to have students from undergraduate, high school, a grad school, and work with physicians, cardiologists specific usually, and other engineering professors, and even have had the opportunity here in San Diego to work with the Fleet Center, BWise, and have worked with middle school girls. So for me, it combines that aspect of mentoring, of working with students, getting to engage them, getting to show them how math, engineering, physics, biology all can come together. So engineering and academics or research generally is a very cold and isolated environment to work in. It is very homogeneous, unfortunately, in terms of our population. However, so it can be isolating. However, I do like to, because I like it, and I want more people, different people, to be joining my next door offices, I also feel that I want to bring in a lot my personality, my culture, being more outgoing and trying to change the culture of maybe people seeing each other more as colleagues and creating some sort of a community so that it can be a more a welcoming environment for me, but then also other people like me. So one thing I would say that is key and maybe in general is to just be resourceful, maybe to ask. There is often it's easier for you to ask and somebody reply than never ask and then wonder. I know that a lot of us may be busy, may look very busy, but many of us are here because we're really passionate for teaching, for mentoring, and helping out. And so us knowing that can then make sure that we put you in the right, push into the one direction, or help connect you with people that will be more helpful.